sweet slumber sleep. And now to bed I hie.
Pleasant way to conclude the formal business for this annual general meeting of the Peter Warlock Society. We will continue to promote the work of Philip Heseltine, otherwise known as Peter Warlock, gifted composer, acerbic critic, and infuriating, lovable hedonist, whilst celebrating his lifelong quest to find the perfect pint. Now, before we further imbibe, tradition must be observed. On New Year's Day 1929, a cricket match was held at Hambledon, the birthplace of the sport, to protest against the ever-lengthening football season. No change there, then. Warlock was commissioned to write a song for the occasion, the baritone soloist being his friend John Goss. This evening I shall attempt to emulate that fine singer, and you, ladies and gentlemen, will be the chorus. I'll make a song of Hambledon and sing it at the George, with balls that flew from Beldam's bat like sparks from Fenwick's forge. The centuries of Aylward and 1,000 guineas bet, and Suter keeping wickets to the thunderbolts of Brett. Get up with every glass and we'll sing a toasting chorus. The cricketers of Hambledon who played the game before us, the stalwarts of the olden times who rolled a lonely town. And may the King of Kings for men, with Hambledon the crown. Although they sang the nights away, their afternoons were spent in beating men of Hertfordshire and flogging men of Kent. And when the flower of England fell to Taylor and his peers, the fame of Hambledonians went ringing down the years. Then up with every glass and we'll sing a toasting chorus. The cricketers of Hambledon who raised the game before us, the stalwarts of the olden times who rolled.
What the hell's going on?
Cricket, the King of Kings.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you.
Hambledon the crown.
The sun has left broad Halfpenny and the moon rides overhead. So pass the bottle round again for drinking to the dead. To Small and his companions, all who gathered, lose or win, to take their fill of Nyren's best when Nyren kept the inn. Then up with every glass and we'll sing a toasting chorus. The cricketers of Hambledon who played the game before us, the stalwarts of the olden time who rolled a lonely down. And may the King of Kings for men, with Hambledon the crown.
Hooray! Bruce, old boy, you missed your epic.
Disaster!
On the contrary, your apt words and my vulgar tune were just the job.
They've run out of beer.
Now, this is a disaster of the first importance, but one with a remedy. Ladies and gentlemen, off to the job! Magnificent work from the brass section, as always.
Splendid, chap, splendid. Thought it went rather well.
Sang it rather well, God.
Yes, thank you, John. As usual, you turned base metal into gold. John Goss, Hubert Foss. How is the little beast phosphorin'?
Very busy.
Not on my behalf. I'd be better off without a publisher. Right, here we go. That scandalous pair, Goss and Foss, once attempted to put it across a girl on a train, but their efforts proved vain, so Foss tossed off Goss at King's Cross. The limerick is a proper literary device, you know. It's the modern equivalent of the forms used by Catullus and Marshall. I'm thinking of putting together a collection.
Well, don't ask Foss to publish it.
We need more beer. You going back to London tonight, Philip?
I'll stay here with you tonight.
Of course. Several more beers, I think.
London not much fun. I expect you're missing Ainsford.
I am, rather. True debauchery is pointless, futile, and tedious. And therein lies its charm. Ainsford was glorious lunacy from the first day.
Welcome to Ainsford, Mr. Heseltine. Mr. Moran awaits you with impatience.
What took you so long? A wayside tavern, I assume.
Raspberry, you are a sanctimonious old bugger. I had to ride carefully on account of a precious passenger. Meet Barbara Peache, who will be joining us, well, me, on occasion. Barbara, Jack Moran, known to his friends as Raspberry on account of his ruddy complexion.
How do you do, Mr. Moran?
Mr. Moran? Pah. And this is Hal Collins, christened by his cannibal grandmother, Tay Akau, but always to be addressed as Collie. Now, first things first, is the pub open?
Any minute now.
Excellent. So, bags in, and the inn.
There is one place in this country we can get fine water and fine music, and that is Brookston.
That's Derbyshire, Derbyshire, every time. The best water in.
What do you think is beautiful? Why would you say it's the best place to get fine water?
I'm hungry.
Right.
Be right-hearted.
It's home. For Barbara.
For Barbara.
Ring up, Pakeha! Kamate, kora, kora. Kamate, kora, kora. Tenete tangata. Nanai. Fitti mai fraka, fitti tera. Uppane, koppane. Uppane, koppane, fitti tera. Hii.
Yes! Superb!
Fred, here's a letter from Phil.
Phil? Phil?
Philip Heseltine, of course.
Oh, Phil. Good. Well, read it then.
Here we are. My dear Delius, I hope you are in good health and still able to compose as much as possible. I am now living in rural bliss, or what would be rural bliss if it were not for the usual.
Yes. Drinking and misbehaving. What's the gist of it, Jelka?
He's talking about the state of music in England. Oh, dear. It is the musical profession that is always the greatest enemy of music. They regard as real the purely verbal, and so, in cases of true expression, non-existent differentiation between the thing expressed and the mode of expression. Do you understand any of this?
I think he's still angry. When will he stop blaming the world for his own lack of self-esteem? Oh, don't read any more. It upsets me too much.
No, there's a postscript. That nice Barbara Peache sends her regards to us.
Oh, well, he doesn't need any more women. He needs to concentrate on his composing.
Oh, Fred. She's good for him. He's fond of her. Wouldn't it be nice if this relationship were to be permanent?
occasion am I to be, Phil?
What?
The other day you said to your friends I would join you on occasion.
Figure of speech. Stay all the time. You'd like that, wouldn't you?
I suppose so.
I want to work, of course.
Will you?
Will I want to, or will I work?
The latter.
I have no option. There is rent to be paid.
And beer to be bought.
One of my many grouses against God. He never created a species of woman covered from head to toe in soft, sleek fur.
She's gentle and also wise, of all other she beareth the prize that ever I saw. To hear her sing, to see her dance, she will the best herself advance that ever I saw. To see her fingers that be so small, in my conceit she passeth all that ever I saw. Nature in her hath wonderly wrought, Christ never such another bought that ever I saw. I have seen many that have beauty, yet is there none like my lady that ever I saw. Therefore I dare this story say, I shall have the best and fairest babe that ever I saw, that ever I saw.
If only it would rain.
Why?
Well, then I would have no excuse. I haven't written a note of music in 3 weeks. Sometimes I wonder if I ever will again.
That's the trouble with you intellectuals. Doesn't matter to me whether I make a woodcut or a stew. As long as at the end of the day I've done something. You finish the day still analysing what you never started.
You're probably right, damn you. So soon?
Everything in moderation. Barbara just came to say her farewells.
Where are you going?
Just to London. It's time I saw a few friends and let you and Phil get on with your composing.
I've said it's not you that stops me composing.
That's maybe, but I still think...
When this ennui lifts, I'll be writing a song a day.
I must go, or I miss my train. I'll be back in a week or two. Bye-bye.
She's going to Auckland.
She'll be more than a couple of weeks then.
Lord Auckland. She fornicates with him when my rough charms become irksome to her.
Oh, I see.
I shouldn't mind, but he makes her pay for the abortions. More beer. Then let's write. The rest of the day off.
Oh, for goodness sake, Walter. My son is about to broadcast to the nation.
Nearly there, my dear.
And so, before we commence this broadcast of Old English airs and keyboard music, I should like to address for a moment the curse of the professional musician. It is a fact that some of the very novel music of the present day often makes an immediate appeal to the plain music lover, because he listens to it with unprejudiced ears and lays his mind open to its message, while the professional musician is often unable to free his mind from theoretical preoccupation.
Turn it off, turn it off.
Something that he might find.
Oh, how many more of his peers will that have antagonised? He simply can't say that sort of thing.
Oh,
don't know.
Precisely, you don't. He's like some depressing sort of pilot fish. His whole life is a disaster.
Edith, he's just finding his way.
Losing his way, more like. And losing it in Kent now. Did I tell you about the letter I had from his landlady in Chelsea?
No, my dear, you didn't, but...
The condition of the dining room is very bad, the ceilings and walls being written on. A large divan has been so badly broken that the wooded side is all broken to bits. With regard to the neighbours' complaints, they were exceedingly unpleasant. It is quite obvious how scandalous the behaviour generally was.
From your mother, I think.
I know what that's about.
Probably a carburettor catalogue. Oxford University Press. Infinitely more exciting.
It's from Hubert Foss, who wants to see me. Bloody waste of time that'll be.
I bet you it won't be.
How much?
Can't risk the beer fund. We'll make it a forfeit.
I'm not sure I like the sound of that.
Heseltine. I want to travel up front. The only way to travel, George. Thank you kindly.
Well, Philip, we're going to publish the Serenade for Strings and all the songs you sent us.
A decision you will never have cause to regret.
I will regret it if you start treating me in the way you treated poor Winthrop Rogers.
Winthrop Rogers spent years ignoring Philip Heseltine. Then I sent him my songs as Peter Warlock, and he not only publishes them, but announces, "I am very happy to have my name outside of them." Rogers is not a publisher, he is the Antichrist, whereas you, my dear Foss, are...
Yes, well, quite. But the point is, you really can't afford to alienate the entire musical establishment.
Who do I alienate?
Let's see where to begin. Ah, yes, the critics. Let's start with the Sunday Times.
Ernest Newman is a bank clerk who should have been unmasked years ago. Did you ever hear the limerick that I wrote?
No, and I don't want to hear it.
Said a critic initialed E.N., "Why does my wife like young men?" A friend said, "You fool, don't you know that the tool is mightier far than the pen?"
Very droll. So that does for the Sunday Times. And then you demolish Percy Scholes.
Scholes is a stinking bag of putrescent tripe.
He is also the chief music critic of the Observer newspaper.
Which does not give him carte blanche to criticise what he doesn't understand. Good God, Hubert, I was defending one of your pieces from his bile.
That was very kind of you. A considered letter to him, perhaps. But you didn't have to write... Where is it? Ah, yes. You would be better employed buggering yourself with a pair of exceptionally well-greased bellows. What is this anal obsession about, Philip? And talking of obsessions, I'm not sure you should spend so much of your time championing Delius. He doesn't really need it, you know.
He most certainly does need it. He's hardly ever programmed these days. It's a disgrace.
Well, you may have a point. But as for Van Dieren, I have to say that his compositions simply don't merit it.
Bernard Van Dieren is a genius. And the only reason he isn't recognized as such is because you lot don't know how to categorize him.
I would rather say that you were a genius. Or could be. If you would only concentrate on your work.
You're very kind to me, Hubert. But I'm under no illusions anymore about my place in the musical pantheon. I'm not a Delius, not a monumental composer. But if I could achieve one book of little songs that had a lasting fragrance, I should be more than happy.
Well, keep writing. And I'll do all that I can from this end.
I take back all I said about you. Now, any chance of a small advance so I could buy some more manuscript paper?
I thought you'd never ask. Philip, spend it on yourself, please. Not on lost causes like Bernard Van Dieren.
Bernard. Philip. I'm afraid Hubert Foss has yet to appreciate the opportunity he's squandering by refusing to acknowledge your genius.
Philip, you mustn't use words like genius with such abandon.
Oh, forgive me, Bernard, but I and your other admirers are in no doubt
That you are one of the 2 or 3 composers now living who are destined to be ranked among the masters.
He's right, you know, Bernard.
The musical establishment can't classify you, so ipso facto they won't recognize you. But we, and
particularly the estimable John here, are going to do something about it.
We are to promote a concert solely consisting of your work, and if the critics show the least sign of indifference, they are to be thrown out of the hall.
This really is too generous. I don't know how to thank you both.
Thank us by joining our little celebration. We're off to the Arts Club to consort with Augustus John and other lowlifes of that ilk.
I must refuse. But thank you, John. And Philip, promise me you won't neglect your commitment to Foss. Compose as much as you are able.
You see here before you one who has experimented with many noxious compounds.
Which have taken me on journeys such as would make your drab lives seem inexpressibly tedious.
But it had to stop.
Stopped you getting it up, I expect.
On the contrary, my dear Augustus.
As a matter of fact, smoking cannabis enabled me to have an orgasm in any part of my body. Including my fingertip.
I should think that would make one want to smoke it continually.
Therein lies the problem. Just as a daily diet of caviar would make one wish the sturgeon were rather less protective of its virginity, so it was with me.
Bit late to be protective of your virginity, Philip.
Concentrate, please, John.
I became ever more voracious and thus
utterly exhausted. One can't carry on like that.
Then kindly don't. I've lost the thread entirely.
I shall finish this discourse
with a little homily on the perils of cannabis indica and the wicked white powder
that I have loved and abused. There was an old sister of Binnery who came to a chemist in thin array. Just like Monavanna, this great punk wanted cannabis and said, "Oh, my dear Mr. Winnery, give me some and I'll pour all my gin away."
What more could a sodden old sinner say? But he said, "For a tanamis, I'll sell you a can of piss. Nothing else, though the chemist at Pinner may."
But I need a swift swig to begin a day. Can't you get one some coke before dinner, eh? No, he said, these vile practices are the death of young actresses, so she walked with a grisly grim grin away.
Fantastic.
Do you know that idiot?
I'm not sure, really.
Well, he lowers the tone.
I think he rather brightens the evening.
Must be infected. He's such a funny man when he gets going. Endless.
And now, dear friends and acolytes, I must slip away like a thief in the night. There are cows to be milked, eggs to be collected, and various deeds to be done.
Is he a farmer? He doesn't look like a farmer.
He practices a very particular form of animal husbandry.
And what about these deeds he has to do?
Generally dark, I think you'll find.
You all right?
Never better. Voss wants more songs from me.
That's good. You're going to write them?
Are you going to come home with me tonight?
Home. Phil. Soon. Very soon.
Why not now? Oh. Sorry. Of course you have to pander to the noble Lord Auckland, scion of the vacuous classes.
It's got nothing to do with him. It's because I have to be prepared to be in orbit around you. And I'm not ready yet. Go home, Phil. Go home and do what you do. And let me find my way back in my own time.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Miss Peache.
Hello, Ainsford Station.
Station master? Lord Berners speaking. Barring any accidents, Mr. Heseltine will be on the 11:15. Will you do the usual?
Consider it done, sir. Good night.
Good night.
A lion in a farmyard? Oh, but he's a very gentle lion. He wouldn't eat anyone. No.
Walter, stop this ridiculous nonsense.
The child should be reading his Bible. The school's very insistent on this.
Oh, very well, Edith. But I can't help but think that he should be singing rather than studying.
Don't listen to a word your stepfather says, Philip. He's a dreamer, and that's not what I intend you to be.
Later, then.
Walter is a dear man, but he's not your father.
Yes, but...
Never mind. I'm always here for you, aren't I, darling?
Yes, Mother.
And I always will be, father or no father.
You know you become like a son to me, Phil. But like any son, you have to make your own way. You would succeed in anything you took up if you'd only concentrate on it and not diffuse your energies in so many ways.
I haven't succeeded, though, Delius.
Your serenade for strings, which you've so kindly dedicated to me, is proof of your talent. It's a very delicate composition of a fine harmonist. And there will be many more. Mustn't stop now, Philip.
Wake up, Mr. Heseltine. You're home.
Thank you, George.
Had a good evening?
I can't remember. So on balance, I'd say yes.
Mr. Murren left your motorcycle. He said something about forfeit. Oh dear. You sure you're right to ride it?
I don't think riding it's going to be the problem. No, George.
All right, Mr. H.
And that, my dear malevolent raspberry, must count as a forfeit delivered in full.
Love is the law. Love under will. There is no love beyond do what thou wilt.
I had a beautiful friend and dreamed that the old despair would end in love in the end. She looked in my heart one day and saw your image was there. She has gone weeping
Philip! What are you doing here? I mean,
I was in the area. Thought I'd try and find you.
really?
No. I needed to talk to someone.
Well, you talk to everyone.
You know what I mean. Could we have a drink or something?
Yes. Yes, why not?
The thing is, Winifred, you mistrust emotional utterances of all kinds, whereas to me they're as natural as breathing.
Well, might it not be that the more one emotes, the less value attaches to the emotion?
Cynic.
A cynic I may be. But I do know that your songs distill true sentiment to a wonderful degree. No heart-on-sleeve excesses there. Fill your days with creation. Forget your mother's domination and give Barbara her freedom.
But that's just the point, damn it. I don't allow my mother to dominate me anymore, and I do allow Barbara her freedom. I hardly even object to her copulating with that brainless aristo.
Then what is your problem?
I want more of my inheritance from my mother, and I want Barbara there when I need her. And I want you.
You're just a dear child, aren't you?
Can we go to your room?
No, Philip. It won't help. Anyway, I have to meet someone this evening.
You sly cat. Who?
His name's Gerald Brennan.
Who is he? What does he do?
He's a writer, and it's really none of your business.
Did you have sex with him?
We look after each other's needs. I must go. Tea's on me. Go back to your menage. Drink a little beer and write a lot of music.
I'll write you a song.
I'd like that.
Winifred, do you love him?
Do you love Barbara?
cloths, enwrought with golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths of night and light and the half-light. I would spread the cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams.
Is that for me?
It's dedicated to a special friend.
Well, I think I'm a little jealous. It's a lovely song and I'd like it.
You can appropriate it only when it is appropriate.
When might that be?
You know.
You know I don't want this, Phil.
Your wants, my needs. How will we ever reconcile them?
Butter on both sides, Barbara.
Well, I'd say it's up there.
Philip, what is the map?
No, it's not. Now, look, we came down here.
What does it say?
We've gone there.
Gentlemen, it's the wrong bloody map.
Sigismund, straight.
Well, while you're waiting, Mr. Heseltine.
Wanky motor!
And yours for the trip, dear heart.
Wonderful. Is there room for everyone?
Oh, I shan't be joining you. Rustic revels not being my overwhelming passion. With your permission, I shall rest here, ministered to by the estimable collie.
Salutations to all. What a splendid day for an adventure.
Where exactly are we going, Jack?
Norfolk, the Windmill Inn near Stalham.
To listen to interminable sea shanties.
Absolutely not. We're going to a frolic to hear Harry Cox, the finest singer in the land.
And, I hope, to sample some of the finest beer in the county.
Absolutely.
See you now. Hello, gentlemen.
Good evening. Good evening, gentlemen. Evening, chaps.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Yeah, drinks on you. Yeah.
Can't wait to hear this man sing.
I promise you, Augustus. This is very good. The finest folk singer you ever heard.
As I rove London streets so gay, down Cheapside I lost my way, and a fair young maid I chanced to meet. With kisses, oh, she did me greet, and I was up to the rigs, down to the jigs, up to the rigs of London town. She took me to a house of fame. She asked me there what was my name, and aloud for supper she did call. She says, old man, you'll pay for all. And I was up to the rigs, down to the jigs, up to the rigs of London town. Now supper being over, the table cleared, she called me her jewel, then her dear, and the chambermaids prepared for bed. The waiters brought in white and red, and I was up to the rigs, down to the jigs, up to the rigs of London town.
Awfully fine singer, this chap.
Order, please. 'Twas the time twixt the hour of 1 and 2. She asked me if to bed I'd go, and then very soon I gave consent, and straightway to my bed I went, and I was up to the rigs, down to the jigs, up to the rigs of London town. She thought by me she'd work her will. Time she frisked, I lay still, and as soon as she had gone to sleep, out of bed, boys, I did creep, and I was up to the rigs, down to the jigs, up to the rigs of London town. Well, I searched her pockets, and there I found silver and £500. Said I to myself, this gold looks bright. Says I to myself, this will buy delight. And I was up to the rigs, down to the jigs, up to the rigs of London town. So you sharps and flats, where'er you be, come you be advised by me, and then treat them well that ebb tide. Look out and keep well in Cheapside, 'cause I was up to the rigs, down to the jigs, up to the rigs of London town. Rigs of London.
Give us another one, Harry.
That's some more, Harry.
Harry Cox.
That's Harry Cox. You know, there's something about being in a beautiful church that makes me want to return to our pagan past.
Well, it's all connected, Augustus. Christmas, harvest festival, sacrificial lambs.
Now there's a thought. What about a proper pagan sacrifice? That'll soon tell us if God's keeping an eye out for his personal property. Mind you, it'll have to be a female.
No, you don't.
Splendid idea.
Naked, of course, on the altar.
You idiot, it'll go down!
Hellhounds, we must spellbound be. Off with her clothes so we can see. Many apologies.
Time for the unbelievers to believe.
And leave. It's a damn good story. Should be worth a couple of guineas from the Times.
Pecuniary pagan.
The thing is, it wasn't all fun and games. In less than 2 decades, Warlock wrote over 150 songs, a dozen vocal chamber music pieces, half a dozen instrumental works, and 600 transcriptions.
And just to prove the Warlockians have an unhealthy ability to remember pointless facts, he wrote books, articles, and reviews amounting to more than 300,000 words.
Did he marry? Have children?
He was married briefly and had a son, Nigel, who was brought up by Philip's mother. Neither parent had much to do with the child.
You said he was a hedonist. In what way?
Every way, particularly regarding women. Mind you, he seems to have had a tendency to confuse sexual gratification with romantic passion.
Oh, that's my cue. She is so proper and so pure, so steadfast, stable, and demure. There is none such, ye may be sure, as my sweet sweeting. When I behold my sweeting sweet, her face, her hand, her minion feet, there seems to me there's none so neat as my sweet sweeting. In all this world as thinketh me is none so pleasant to mine eye, that I am glad so oft to see as my sweet sweeting. Above all others praise must I, and love my pretty pig's knee, for none I find so womanly as my sweet sweeting, as my sweet sweeting.
Puma.
Well remembered. What else do you remember?
Pussum that swallowed the cream, eh?
That's up to you.
Bad news?
That frightful little tart wants Nigel back. Says she's ready to be a proper mother. How dare she?
Puma?
Oh, don't mention her name.
She may have changed, dear.
People like that don't change, Walter.
No, you're probably right.
She says she's going to discuss it with Phil. Well, they won't get any help from me.
I'm sure he'll be sensible.
I fear he won't.
How's our son?
He has a name, you know.
Oh, Christ. How's little Nigel, then?
Growing up fast, according to Mother.
I've written to your mother. It's time Nigel had a more stable upbringing.
And I suppose you can provide that.
Well, you see, I'm getting married, so things will be a deal more comfortable.
Who the hell's going to marry you?
I've not been short of suitors.
I dare say. In the name of the chosen victim?
Edward Sassoon.
My God. Going up in the world. The date of this august occurrence?
Tomorrow.
Muliercula impudica.
What?
Shameless hussy. Doesn't it bother you that instead of flouncing around in your trousseau, you were bouncing around with me?
Does it bother you?
That's not the point.
Well, you liked it, didn't you?
Yes.
So did I. A lot. I always did.
So?
So nothing. I'm going to be faithful to Edward, but I wanted to feel alive one last time. Before a life of hunting, homemaking, and...
dreary sex. You're not having our son. You don't really want him.
I might. We haven't done very well for him, have we?
We haven't done very well for ourselves.
You still poor?
As the veritable church mouse. Composing brings in next to nothing, and the odd few quid from my mother is accompanied by such homilies it's hardly worth the pain.
You need to find a nice rich girl to marry. Oh, look. What a sweet little place. Shall we go in and explore it?
I think you'd better go.
I won't be seeing you again. Send my love to little Nigel.
I wouldn't try and steal him away. He's really best off where he is. Mother won't allow it anyway.
No, I'm sure she won't. Thank you for the delightful afternoon.
Oh, by the way, how did you know Barbara wouldn't be here?
Oh, I saw her yesterday at Lord Auckland's. She's a pretty thing. You should keep her on a tighter leash.
Nice day with Puma. What? Your wife?
Ex-wife. Soon to be someone else's problem. God rot her soul.
Another round when you can, Harry.
A poem. You've heard of the promiscuous Puma. She is of a most generous humour. She can't say no to anyone, or rob a stranger of his fun. Because of this sad moral lack, she spends her lifetime on her back. But as she says, what one can use, it seems so wasteful to refuse. Harry. This beer isn't up to it.
Tastes all right to me, Mr. Heseltine.
Yes. Yes. It's all right. But it isn't perfect. Too many additives.
I wouldn't know about that, I'm afraid.
Well, I would. I've been doing some research. In the year ended the 30th of September 1925, 15,520,166 hundredweight of brewing material produced 26,849,930 barrels of beer containing 36 pints each. The quantity of pure hops used was only 362,554 hundredweight, as against 1,863,930 hundredweight of sugar, syrups, and disgusting chemicals.
Oh, that's a blessing.
Couldn't have listened to another word. Come on, Jack. Better take him home.
Don't you worry about that, gents. Let him sleep. I'll be around when he comes to.
Probably for the best. Night, Harry.
Night, Mr. Morgan.
Oh, Mr. Collins.
Come, sleep, and with thy sweet deceiving lock me in delight awhile. Let some pleasing dreams beguile all my fancies, that from thence they may steal an influence all my powers of care What a shadow, what a sliding, let me know some little joy. We that suffer long annoy are contented with the thought through an idle fancy wrought. Oh, let my joys have some
Phil, whatever's the matter?
And that's the reward for my uncharacteristic moment of thoughtfulness.
I'm sorry. It's just... Thank you. Are you going to have something?
Already eaten. I've been up for hours. Been doing a lot of thinking. It's time we went back to London.
Why? I mean, I certainly shouldn't mind, but do you love it here?
I do, but I need to earn some money. It's no good imagining there's any sort of demand for these silly little songs of mine. I need to get a proper job.
Phil, you wouldn't last 5 minutes.
Oh, I don't mean clerking. Something like, I don't know, cataloguing at the British Museum. Or writing that Tober's anthology. I've got a name for it. Merry-Go-Down. A gallery of gorgeous drunkards through the ages. Plenty of material there.
Oh, well, it does seem a shame.
No, the 20s are fast running out. There won't be another decade like it. You want to be nearer your friends, although I'm a bit tired of you running off with...
Not friend. That's all finished.
So, we'll tell Collie and Raspberry they need to clear out and earn some cash as well. And we'll have the frolic to end all frolics at the 5 Bells. Invite everyone down and give Ainsford a night to remember.
I'll drink to that.
Mm-hmm.
Some are fond of red wine, and some are fond of white, and some are all for dancing by the pale moonlight. But rum alone's the tipple and the heart's delight of the old bold mate of Henry Morgan. Oh, some are fond of Spanish wine, and some are fond of French, and some will swallow tea and stuff it only for a wench. But I'm for right Jamaica till I roll beneath the bench, says the old bold mate of Henry Morgan. Oh, some are for the lily, and some are for the rose, but I am for the sugar cane that in Jamaica grows. For it's that makes the body drink to warm my copper nose, says the old mate of Henry Morgan. Oh, some are fond of fiddles and a song well sung, and some are all for music for to lilt upon the tongue. But mouths were made for tankards and for sucking at the bung, says the old mate of Henry Morgan. Oh, some that's good and godly ones, they hold that it's a sin to troll the jolly bowl around and let the dollars spin. But I'm for toleration and for drinking at an inn, says the old mate of Henry
You found somewhere in London, Phil?
Yes, I think so. Although I may have to go to Wales to stay with my mother in the interim.
A chance to be with your son?
I rather dread that, actually. I don't feel I'll be much use to him in my present mood. Never been much use to him, actually.
Be fair to yourself. Neither is Puma.
What was it Nietzsche said about children being the scapegoats of matrimony? Poor Nigel's been a scapegoat, all right. Mind you, at least I have some sort of philosophical tenet to my selfishness. Puma's just plain selfish.
Nietzsche got it right about women.
Well, he got it right about Puma.
Talking of women, what's the British mothwork doing here?
You mustn't be so resentful about Winifred. If there's anything good about me, it's because of her.
Is Barbara mine?
I rather hope not.
Mr. Delius! They told me that I'd find you here. My name is Hubert Foss. I'm the manager for classical music at Oxford University Press.
Oh, yes, Mr. Foss. Phil has told me much about you.
Oh, right. Good. Well, the thing is, sir, I was at the performance of your Sonara, and I thought...
Didn't Mr. Goss here sing magnificent?
Oh, yes, quite. Well done, John. The point is that I was amazed.
That the old man could still write music?
No, I mean, I was enchanted by the work. And I wondered if you would consider letting my company publish it.
Oh, you'll have to talk to Phil about that. I'm really not well enough to involve myself in commercial matters. Shall we go, Mr. Goss?
What was it you once said about not championing Delius or Van Dieren? Well, here it is. You publish Van Dieren's string quartets and Dutch melodies, and you can have Delius's sonara.
You can't blackmail me like that.
Think of it as a delightful symmetry of intentions.
All right. But I have to say, Philip, one of these days you'll go too far. What's more, I'm expecting some songs from you.
Soon, my dear Hubert, soon you will be inundated with the flower of my creativity.
I hope so. I can't keep helping you if you won't help yourself.
Hubert?
Yes?
Nothing.
So you see, it's all turned out rather amusingly. Mr. Phosphorin will take your work, but what he doesn't know is that Winthrop Rogers already has the Delius piece.
But you and Rogers aren't speaking.
Oh, that all blew over.
Well, I hope it blows over with Foss. He's a good friend. You can't afford to lose him.
Let them tear each other apart. I'm tired of their games.
I am more afraid that they will tear you apart.
Wouldn't be worth their while. I've nothing to give them.
Oh, Philip, that is ridiculous. And not a little self-pitying. You have a rare talent. Your songs, your Capriol Suite, these are perfect little gems.
Miniatures. Here today, gone tomorrow.
Philip, these miniatures, as you call them, will be loved and performed long after my name, let alone my music, is forgotten.
That's not right. I believe in you, Bernard. Truly and wholeheartedly.
Believe in yourself, Philip. You must believe in yourself.
By the edge of this desolate lake, where wind cries in the sedge until the axle break that keeps the stars in their round, and hands hurl in the deep the banners of east and west, and the girdle of light is unbound.
It's been too long.
Over 2 years. Thank you for coming.
You wanted me to. Thought you'd moved back to London.
I have. But I have to get out for a few days. There's nothing for me there.
No work?
A little. I'm still writing stuff with Bruce Blunt, but it'll never sell.
I don't think your friend Bruce likes me very much.
He's jealous, that's all.
I can't imagine why. I'm hardly your daily companion.
Yes, you are.
Philip. How did your Delius festival go?
Wonderfully well. All tickets sold. Which is more than can be said for Van Dieren. They still won't accept him.
Delius, Van Dieren. Why do you expend so much energy in promoting these old composers?
Somebody has to.
But why you?
Because, Winifred, They need defending from the worst enemy of music, which is the music profession. Critics being the worst example of all. Except, of course, that none of them actually have the musical credentials to be considered as professionals. They hide behind a dark veil of theory and taste and ill-conceived prejudice, and they make pronouncements that make ordinary people feel excluded, when in fact ordinary people are who we write for. They buy tickets to concerts and sheet music and gramophone records, and they shouldn't be bullied by a musical establishment that spends its entire time peering up its own arse.
I'm sure you're right. But the trouble is that you make these pronouncements publicly, and it's made you so many enemies over the last few years. Doesn't that bother you?
Well, they'll all change their tune when I'm gone.
Another 50 years of falling in and out with other artists. Hysterical reactions from critics and publishers, friends made and discarded. Do you really want to carry on like that?
No, I don't. Which is a jolly good reason to put an end to things soon.
Oh, don't talk like that, Philip. It upsets me.
Well, I'm sorry, but it upsets me too. To be so insufferably and ignominiously grisly all the time. I'm not prepared to write another note if all I can come up with is drivel.
Philip, stop. You are a wonderful composer. You have a gift, and it would be an especial crime to squander it.
Do I? Do I have a gift? I don't think so. I can turn a pretty tune, transcribe an Elizabethan song no one wants to hear, write an acerbic article no one wants to read. That's not a gift. It's just what I do. And I don't even do it all that well anymore.
Well, perhaps you could try, I don't know, changing your style a little.
It can't be done, Winifred. I mean, I do admire some of the so-called light music, jazz, musical comedy and the like, but I wouldn't know how to write it.
Well, what about your sociable songs? They're light and frothy and fun.
Like beer. Nothing more. And I wouldn't want to be associated with highbrow music. It's mostly pretentious rubbish. So where does that leave me?
I don't know, my love. I really don't know. What can I do?
What do you think?
It's a poor gift.
But not a cheap one. You know that, don't you?
Do I?
Christmas is just around the corner. We should write another carol. Lots of carols. Call ourselves Carols Consolidated.
A bit hypocritical, considering that the whole notion of Christmas and Christianity, the virgin birth, the afterlife, seems to me to be a revolting charade. Talking of the afterlife, did I tell you Collie had died?
Good God, no. I mean, I knew he had TB, but I didn't...
It was the best thing, really. Poor chap had wasted away quite horribly. I shall miss him. Raspberry has tuberculosis of the knee. He wrote the other day telling me in graphic detail about learning to wipe his arse again after too many weeks perched on a bedpan.
I always said he was full of shit.
Forget the carols. If you're so keen on Reynard there, write a poem about it.
If you promise to set it.
Done. But first, more
at the fox in the tattered ears, the fox's grin mock the dead years. High on the wall above the cask laughs at you all the fox's mask.
What else do you remember?
The horn is still, the huntsman gone. After the kill, the fox lives on. Death's date is there in faded gold. His eyes outstare the dead of old.
You know I don't want this, Phil.
Beneath this roof, his eyes mistrust the crumbled hoof, the hounds of dust.
It's a poor gift.
Mustn't stop now, Philip.
You will not call, I shall not stir when the fangs fall from that brown fur.
Believe in yourself, Philip. You must believe in yourself.
I'm always here for you, aren't I, darling? Yes, Mother. And I always will be.
One from Phil.
Oh, read it, will you, Walter? It's bound to be about money.
You can't come for Christmas. The Christmas atmosphere and festivities induce for me an extremity of gloom and melancholy, which makes me very poor company at such a time. I find it very much better to remain more or less alone and devote myself to some quiet work. This year, too, some stuff of mine that I've never heard is being sung, and I would like to attend the performance. Oh, card for you, dear.
Yeah. With all my love, dearest mother, and all that good wishes and affection can do to bring you joy this Christmas tide, from your devoted son. Oh, Phil.
Heseltine coming tonight?
I've no idea, actually.
Probably won't be able to tear himself away from the antelope.
Just play. Thank you.
Mary, that was the child's mother, met me in the frost-bound wood. Her face was lovely and care-laden under a white hood. She who once was heaven's chosen pitiful to see. Bethlehem could hear sweet singing, peace on earth, a Saviour's come. Here the trees were dark, the heavens without stars and dumb. Past she went with no word spoken, past the grave of him I slew, myself the sower of the woodland, and my heart the yew. Mary, that was the child's mother, met me in the frost-bound wood. Her face was lovely and care-laden under a white hood.
The gas tap was very loose. That's what they said at the inquest. Philip had a row with Barbara. She went dancing and stayed out all night. He had met his friend Van Dieren that evening here in the Antelope and seemed perfectly all right. When Barbara got back next morning, he was lying on the sofa, fully clothed, dead.
The peculiar thing was that they found a penciled draft of a new will, leaving everything to Winifred Baker.
Did he kill himself?
The coroner recorded an open verdict because it was possible that he could have knocked the gas tap accidentally.
Doesn't seem very likely.
Well, you know the stigma attached to suicide in those days.
Maybe Winifred had the answer. She wrote to Van Dieren on the day of the inquest.
I can feel almost gladness now that it is over. That he has at last found the peace and quietude that he so loved and never, or seldom, could find in the world.
I knew love only when I first saw you 11 years ago. All else that I have called love in my life has been a hideous mockery, a soul-destroying obscenity. All that is good in my work that I've ever done is you, and you alone. You have believed in me with a superhuman faith, and I read and reread in your letters words of love and faith more beautiful than I had ever dared hope would be said to me. And I know now
that if any good comes of my life, it will be through the ever-present thought of you and through the integrity of my spiritual kinship with you.